On behalf of the Linn-Mar School Board, I welcome everyone this evening and call this meeting to order at 5 o'clock. John, would you please determine a quorum?
Director Buchholz?
Here.
Director Foss?
Here.
Director Langston?
Here.
Director Mansour?
Here.
Director Maury?
Here.
Director Thomas?
Here.
President Lau Lancaster?
I'm here as well. A reminder to keep this meeting flowing tonight, I will say the number like 200 in adoption of agenda, then I will ask for a motion and a second. Let's just put a pause in between each of these items tonight. All right, so item number 200, adoption of agenda. May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Britt, a second by Barry. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? And the motion is carried. At this time, we have item number 301, plans and specs for the Oak Ridge Band Room addition. We did not have anyone sign up this evening to speak to this public hearing, so therefore I call this public hearing to close. Item number 302, our proposed certified budget for fiscal year 2027. I now open the public hearing on the proposed certified budget for fiscal year 2027. No one has signed up to speak to this item tonight. Therefore, at this time, I now close the second public hearing. Item number 400, district highlight moment. Oh, that's me. Oh, that's right. There's words in front of me and everything, too. Oh, my goodness. Sorry. Proclamation in honor of National Teacher Appreciation Week is May 4th through the 8th. And that is right here. Ready? Whereas National Teacher Appreciation Week became a celebration and recognition of educators due to the dedication of Eleanor Roosevelt in 1953, and whereas the teachers of the Linn-Mar Community School District dedicate their time and efforts to empower achievement and learning excellence for all students, and whereas our teachers work together with students, families, administrators, and community partners to inspire learning, unlock potential, and empower achievement, therefore, be it proclaimed that as the president of the Linn-Mar Community School District Board of Directors, I proclaim the week of May 4th through the 8th, 2026 as National Teacher Appreciation Week. And I extend the board's sincere thanks to all our teachers for their commitment to educating our students. Woohoo! Well, let's see what happens next. Now we have item number 402.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to read a proclamation in recognition of School Board Appreciation Month. Whereas the Iowa Association of School Boards has declared the month of May as School Board Appreciation Month in recognition of the dedicated service of all Iowa school boards, and whereas the members of the Linn-Mar Community School District Board of Educators volunteer their time as a visionary team dedicated to serving the district, and whereas our school board members' partnership with students, families, educators, and the community to ensure that the district provides a high-quality education and student achievement through unique learning opportunities for every student, and whereas the Linn-Mar Board of Directors serves a critical role in visioning for tomorrow and ensuring the tough decisions are made that inspire learning, unlock potential, and empower achievement, therefore be it proclaimed that as superintendent of the Linn-Mar Community School District, I proclaim the month of May as School Board Appreciation Month and extend a thank you to our 7 board members for their dedication to the district and community.
Well, we're just about all the love tonight, aren't we? This is awesome. All right, we are to item number 500, audience communications. However, we did not have anyone sign up to speak this evening, so therefore we will go on to item number 600, our informational reports. At this time, I invite Megan, our Associate Director of Student Services, and Ann Farber, our Executive Director of Student Services, to report on the Transition Alliance program. I thought I just saw Ann, so there you go.
Well, good evening. Megan's not able to join us this evening, so I'm going to go ahead and take her part and present. I'm excited to be here with you tonight to present on the Transition Alliance program and to share that we have been approved for 2 TAP specialists. And when I began this role in July, I intentionally started with a 30, 60, 90-day plan in looking at the special education systems and the alignment to our strategic plan. That review highlighted many strengths while also identifying clear opportunities for growth, particularly in the area of college and career readiness for students with disabilities. In October, I met with Megan to discuss the Transition Alliance program and learned that she had previously explored this opportunity in 2019. Based on my prior experience with TAP and its demonstrated impact on student transition outcomes, I believed it was important to revisit this work as part of our strategic direction. I asked Megan to move forward again, and she led the grant process with persistence, attention to detail, and a strong commitment to our students. I am pleased to share that the grant was approved in March, resulting in funding for 2 TAP specialists. This approval represents a significant step forward in strengthening our transition services and ensuring our students are better prepared for life beyond high school. I want to thank Megan for her dedication and commitment and her leadership throughout this grant process in helping us get this grant. So, as you can see, the Transition Alliance program is aligned to our Strategic Plan 2.5, College and Career Readiness. Tonight, I'd like to give you a clear picture of the Transition Alliance program, or TAP. It is a partnership between our school district and Iowa Vocational Rehabilitation Services. Its purpose is simple: to support students with disabilities as they move from high school to adult life and employment. TAP focuses on helping students discover their strengths, explore careers, build real-world skills, and ultimately find competitive, integrated employment in our community. What is TAP? It's a collaborative partnership between vocational rehabilitation services. It was established in 1998. It was created to improve outcomes for students with disabilities by strengthening the transition from high school to adult life. The program serves students who are eligible for vocational rehabilitation services for pre-employment, transition services, and who have an individual education program or a 504. TAP is designed to provide enhanced individualization transition services that go beyond what schools are required to offer under federal education law. A key goal of the program is to help students achieve competitive, integrated employment, meaning real jobs in community where individuals with disabilities work alongside peers without disabilities and earn competitive wages. TAP services are delivered by a dedicated transition specialist who works closely with students, families, school staff, employers, and IVRS counselors. Importantly, TAP is jointly funded with the school district and IVRS, each covering 50% of the program cost. There's no cost to our families, students, for participating in the TAP program. Why does this matter? TAP bridges the transition gaps to support our students beyond school, helping our students with disability transition smoothly to work or further education. TAP plays an important role because students with disabilities often face additional barriers when transitioning from school to work or further education. While schools provide transition planning as part of special education services, those services limit time and scope. One of the most significant strengths of TAP is that it does not replace school services, but enhances them with specialized vocational and employment-focused support. One of my experiences that I had when I worked in a previous employment with Keystone AEA was that Dubuque started this program. We started with 2 students. I remember when we started the program with TAP, working alongside Lori Anderson, we had a student that wanted to get into hairdressing design, and that student was so excited because they learned how to color hair. That program is now grown to 120 students, and I hope that is what we can build for our school district down the road. The benefits for our students. For students, TAP offers hand-on practical experiences that help them grow into young adults who are ready for work or college. These benefits include career exploration and job readiness and training, work-based learning experiences such as job shadows, internships, and paid work. My other experience that we had TAP in my previous role before coming here is we had students that worked with Hy-Vee. We had students that worked making dog biscuits, and those students then stayed employed with those employers after graduation. The goal is to help each student discover a career path that matches their interests, strengths, and abilities, and to help them actually take steps toward that path. Students are at the center of the TAP program, and the services are designed to support their individual paths toward employment and adulthood. TAP provides enhanced transition services while students are still in high school, allowing them to explore careers, develop skills, and gain confidence before graduating. Students participate in pre-employment transition services, which include job exploration, counseling, work-based learning experiences, workplace readiness training, and self-advocacy instruction. The transition specialists also help our students with interview skills, mock interviews, also support the development of essential life skills such as transportation training, communication, financial literacy, and independent living skills. Benefits for educator and employers, support for the educators. TAP provides specialized transition staff training for our teachers and counselors in planning and implementing student goals beyond high school. It also helps support our employers. It offers significant benefits not only for our students, but also educators and local employers. For schools, TAP adds capacity for providing specialized transition staff who work alongside our teachers, our counselors, and IEP teams. TAP staff actively participate in transition planning and help implement goals that extend beyond high school, reducing the burden on school personnel while improving outcomes for our students. The program strengthens the connection between classroom learning and real-world employment, helping educators see tangible results from transition planning for employers. TAP creates a pipeline of prepared, motivated, and pre-screened young workers. Employers benefit from job coaching, instructional training, and ongoing support from TAP staff, which helps ensure successful placements. TAP also assists employers in understanding disability-related accommodations and available tax incentives. These partnerships create a win-win situation where students gain experience and employers gain dependable employees. How TAP works. The TAP specialists would work with our student support teachers. Students are identified through school collaboration, assessed for eligibility with support from IVRS services, career assessment activities, expanded assessments like job shadows and entrance inventories help us identify our students that would qualify for TAP. Individualized education plan development, a tailored employment plan outlining career goals for our students and a step toward employment or education, and job readiness and follow-up. After a student earns a job and graduates, TAP continues to support them up until the age of 25. Staff check in regularly, help resolve issues, and assist the student as they move into early adulthood. These 4 components create a seamless, structured pathway from high school into work or post-secondary training. TAP operates through a structured yet flexible model built around 4 core services. Program outcomes and impact. Student success and employment. TAP students gain paid work experience. They increase the chances for competitive employment in our community. They sustain job retention. The benefits of our school district. TAP provides a cost-effective transition service, leveraging federal funding through shared costs models for schools. Communities benefit from a stronger inclusive workforce and reduced dependence on long-term support systems. And TAP fosters collaboration between schools, businesses, and state agencies to support coordinated student success. I'm really excited about this experience. I worked with 2 entities that had TAP specialists in the TAP collaboration with vocational rehabilitation services. and it's been nothing but student success for our students. And I'm really excited to see this partnership, and can't wait to see and get it going. So thank you for your time this evening. Any questions for me?
I'm sorry, I have about,
Yeah.
I have 2 or 3 questions. The first one is this is a wonderful program. It's great. Are most school districts in the area doing this program as well, or are we teaming up with some other districts?
Most districts in this area are already doing it. Our surrounding districts already have TAP programs.
Because we have some kids coming into our program too, right?
We have open enrollment, but we do not have
For
TAP
this next level. I call it the next level after high school graduation.
for our Success Center.
Correct, that's, okay, thank you. Okay, so then there's 2 questions that I have, we talk about funding, we talk about 50% funding, we talk about no cost to the students. What is the cost to us as a district for this? Because I know we've had some grants, you know, I see all that coming through, but what is the cost to us? And while we were looking at this, Jonathan pulled up some of it for me, so.
So right now, the contract goes until September 1st, and then it'll renew again for the full year. So the cost up until September 1st is approximately $44,162. Voc Rehab is paying the other half of that. There's a percentage cost that is divided out with costs and all of that. Then the cost after that is approximately $80,000 for us, and then Voc Rehab pays the other $80,000. So it's half and half.
You know, I think these are all important things to publicize, I guess is the word, if we can, because we know what our graduation rate is for our regular school system. Now we get into this here, and what are our successes, and what's it really costing us, and what are we putting towards this? Because we still feel it's an important program for us, and it's not free, of course, but we get as many grants as we can, but I just think that we need to kind of keep that to the forefront if we can. So,
I've, on the same lines of Barry's budget question, so they pay, workforce development, they pay 50% of the program costs. Is it a grant that they're getting from somewhere that funding is only for a certain amount of time, or is that kind of an ongoing program? I'm just wondering, are we going to reach a point where the 50% grant goes away, and to keep the program, we have to fund 100% of the program?
I don't know how to answer that question. What I can tell you is that my experiences with the Transition Alliance program in other school districts that I've been in, I've never seen it go away. I've seen it grow. So my experience with a school district out that way, when I worked for Keystone AEA, I've seen it grow. Like I said, we started out with 2 students, and it has grown to 122 students, and they've added staff. So Iowa Vocational Rehabilitation Service added staff to help support that, and added funding to help support that program.
Okay, that's fine. Past experience is great. It's just something that whenever we add something new, it's good to have touch points like, we approve a contract today, but we need to keep tabs on how much that program does grow, what the cost on our end grows, are we budgeting for that? And then is there a chance at some point where we like the program, but the other half, the 50%, goes away? So it's just things to think about as we're budgeting and looking at future expenses.
Thank you.
And I have 2 questions, and thank you. Your report was fabulous, and thank you very much for the information. Do we already have staff on site that we've hired, or will we need to hire staff for these positions?
I was waiting for the approval tonight, and after tonight, we will post, and we will need to hire.
What? Did I set you up for that one, or what?
And we initially were approved only for 1, and then for whatever reason, they came back and they approved us for 2 TAP specialists, so that was exciting for us to help move this forward. So
Fabulous.
we will be posting for 2 TAP specialists.
Okay. My next question too is, how does this fit in with the goals and vision of the ARC?
Related to?
So in my workplace, we have a young person who comes to us 1 day a week, and she's fully employed. She was transitioned to us from high school. I'm probably answering my own question. She probably came through TAP, and we didn't even realize that that's how she got to us.
Okay.
I just answered my own question. I mean, you have to see her goal, and then we pay her exactly the same we would anyone else on staff. She started off supervised, and she's now completely unsupervised and independent. All right. Thank you. Anybody else have questions? Go ahead.
Just for clarity, thanks, Ann, appreciate this. Is this separate from the Success Center?
Yes.
Where would this be?
So this would be housed out of the TAP specialists, the two specialists would be housed out of the high school. I had conversations with Jeff. Office space, we're still looking at that. This would be, we would want to partner up with our local businesses here in Marion and throughout our community. And the students could be employed. We would do some assessments with them to see where they would like their employment to be, and then we would look at business partners within our community.
Perfect. Can you just, and I know you talked about it, but I was I was paying attention to a lot of things here. Just remind me again, who would qualify for TAP?
Our students with IEPs and our students that have 504s at the high school level.
And then who qualifies for the Success Center?
Our students that are 4+ students that qualify for 4+.
Okay, all right. And then the budget that you've got here, of the 42,044, right? Does that include the specialists that you're talking about, or is that an additional cost as well?
No, that includes that would include one, we pay for one specialist and they pay for the others. It includes the specialist,
Okay.
the TAP specialist.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Just, I'm sorry, you mind clarifying what a 504 is?
A 504 is an accommodation that a student may need due to a medical diagnosis or an accommodation that they need for, it's not an IEP, so they might have a doctor's recommendation due to a short-term medical condition or a long-term medical condition.
Okay, appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, I guess I have another question. Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah, first I just wanted to say, Ann, I appreciate the presentation. I just kind of wanted to, there's been some comments about budget, and so I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. It sounds like that most of this cost is really just the salary of the two TAP specialists, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so honestly, sounds like a wonderful bargain for us. I also just would, I'm really excited about this because one of the things that I love from a school perspective is when we are meeting the variety of needs of those that we serve. And it's just a good reminder that all of our students are going to have different challenges and different abilities. And so sometimes we can become hyper-focused on a very, very traditional high school path and a very, very traditional life path. And so I think that these programs, especially some of the support that goes out until 25, is that what I was seeing from your presentation? So I think that you alluded to it, but I think that there are a lot of really, really great benefits in terms of what it does for the community to kind of help place that individual and help seamlessly help integrate them. And so I just always think it's a worthwhile thing to champion and to acknowledge when we are supporting programs that are helping the wide variety of students that we're going to have. And so thank you so much.
Thank you, Evan.
My questions are actually for John now because my brain is spinning. So how does this fit into what we have budgeted for staff?
Yeah,
In
so I mean,
terms
so this would be a little bit of an add, but I think when you look at it holistically, anytime we have the opportunity to add 2 staff for the cost of 1 staff, that's something to capitalize on. And then Ann has a good plan for the program and has seen it be successful for our students. So at our cost of $80,000, that fits in just fine to our budget.
Okay.
And I'll finally, this is awesome. Thank you for bringing this. I'm so excited for all the kids who will benefit from this program. It's a huge service to not only the kids, but to the community. And then my bigger picture thought, not really a question, but as we look at partnerships between Compass and local businesses and the TAP program and local businesses. I'm thinking, and I don't know if this is a Nathan thing or like where this plays out, but we have all these, relationships with local businesses and the district, and however we can be kind of efficient and not duplicative on outreach and communication and coordination. I'm sure you guys have that all under control, but I just figured I'd say it, put it out there. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is really good work.
Okay.
The kids are really lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this presentation, and just adding on to Laura's, let's talk about this at the CTE meeting, because we're already working with a lot of community members, and we have a lot of community input in that meeting, so let's just bring it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Please thank Megan for her hard work and her diligence, and both of you, your steadfastness to see this through, and for the really good dialogue on this conversation. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, at this time, we'll move on to item number 602, Policy Committee Report.
All right. Did you want to do it? Oh, okay. All right. The policy committee met on April 16th, and a lot of what we reviewed was the 500 series, and there was a primer that came from IASB as well, and so you'll see several of those have come forward for first reading tonight. One note that I was going to mention now, right? Okay, is I note a discrepancy in a wording that we discussed at policy committee meeting versus what's in the exhibit in regards to it saying home, the addition of the word home when the discussion referenced parents, or maybe that's parents, guardians, something like that. But that is definitely something that will come back to the policy committee for refinement, as that was different. Sorry, I'm distracted by the storm.
There you go.
As that was different from
We do have an
as
opportunity.
discussed.
I think Jerry can answer that question, or Nathan can answer that question that we had, if you would like to have that answered in your report about that wording. Do you want to go ahead and answer?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Jerry and I were looking that up. So yeah, I know we had talked about home and parent guardian. We can't change home. Home is a locked field in Power School. So just know that we don't have any edit rights over the coding in Power School to change that.
But in the policy, we're adding the word home when the intent is for it to be like parent guardian. The field,
Oh,
I don't really care about the field. It was
gotcha.
just when we were looking at this, the intent was to clarify that the phone number was for the parent slash
For the
guardian.
parents, not for the students or
Correct.
any other. Yes.
That was the only intent, and I believe the policy has to do with what you want to withhold from the directory, and so that was the wording changed.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
It's what, I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, and then we talked about, and I've got that on our list of things too, that we'll make sure that it links to our policy. Jerry and I were just talking about that. So when we set up the registration screens, that directory information that we're basically asking you to, or parents, I guess, to give permission for, when they register, will include hopefully a link to our policy, which clearly shows those things that you're giving permission to access, if that makes sense. Yep.
And then beyond that, if there's any other questions, I mean, there's open things, but Katie, Evan, I don't know if there's anything else.
No, I was just going to say this was a pretty streamlined policy meeting. A lot of the policies were updated with ISB language or with code changes. And then just to maybe provide some more context to that conversation, Laura, and it may have been Katie as well, were identifying that we wanted to increase our how specific we were. I'm not going to be able to say that word. Specific. Yep, can't say it. We were trying to be more specific about phone number and acknowledging that for the directory, it would be the home phone for the household, not like a cell phone of a child. And it's the as per Amy was addressing, it's the information that we're allowed to share. Little distracting, but yeah.
So I'm just gonna interrupt here. It's getting really loud in here. And we're getting a great view of a storm, and if you are viewing with us online right now, we just want you to know you're probably having rain at your house too. We are appreciating the very large windows in our conference room right now, and the only thing this will mean is you need to speak very loudly and speak over this beautiful storm.
Did Barry go to move his car? Oh, no, he's back.
Yeah,
I thought he was
did.
protecting his car from the
Somebody had his
hail.
windows down or something. All right. So thank you very much for your comments. Is there any questions at this time for the policy committee? If not, we're going to now do item number 603, Marion City Council report.
So there was not a city council meeting on April 16th. And if I'm yelling, that's sorry. I think that future meetings check the dates because I'm looking at corresponding dates, and like Barry is not going to be able to attend a meeting on May 7th because they don't have one on May 7th. And there's no meeting on June 18th. So check those out. But I did look at the meeting they had on the 23rd. And some things that were Linn-Mar appropriate or connected. They will be doing a median landscape project on 10th Street and 29th Avenue, and that will happen no earlier than August 17th and be completed no later than September 30th, which should make the first month and a half of school really fun. There's more approvals for the Alburnett Extension Road projects, so I would assume that at some point they will be done acquiring the land and they will start building the road, which impacts our bus routes. And they approved their budget on April 23rd.
Why, thank you. We are now going to go ahead and take item number 604, School Improvement Advisory Committee Report. And thank you, Britt, for a reminder of the dates. The clouds look like it's a break, but it's still pretty loud in here. So, who's got the SIAC meeting?
It's opening up. 1 second. Oh, thank you. We met on April 23rd. Because of schedule conflicts, not a lot of people were able to attend. But we still had 7 or 8 people come to this meeting. We spoke about district improvement role and risk priorities. There were actually 4 areas set up. Wow. And it finished. And now, now I can speak normally. We had a table with our improvement rules and priorities. We have a table for wellness policy review that spoke a lot of that. The thing that we reviewed was in red, and most of it was around healthy snacks, if I remembered correctly. Then we had a curriculum table about curriculum review cycles, and currently we're reviewing curriculum every 5 years, and there was talks about how to improve that or something else we need to look into. And the 4th one was Title 1 and 2, and Lori, right? Lori was here, and she explained what Title 1 and Title 2 were and how the district qualifies for it. Did I miss anything, Justin?
No, it was just, it was great data, limited audience.
That
But
was it.
we really appreciate the effort. So,
All right, thank you. According to the weather map, we have about 10 more minutes and then it downpours again. So we're going to go to item number 605, our Finance Audit Committee report.
Jonathan will touch on most items here in a few minutes. We took care of our bills, and we also had a certified budget presentation. So the 3 or 4 items later in the meeting, so we'll just move forward for that.
All right, item number 606, our legislative report.
I am kicking this one off today because we're going to end with the excitement of property taxes, which Britt will talk through. So it is official. The legislatures are no longer getting paid, and they're still in session. So just bringing that up. Let's see. I wanted to talk through. So one thing that is headed to the governor is the requirement of the acceptance of cash at any extracurricular interscholastic athletic event. And so while I think we could appreciate the, cash is king mentality, this brings in a whole set of logistical and safety concerns about having cash, having kids with cash at these events, having someone at the end of the night with a bunch of cash, counting the cash. And so that's going to impact our volunteers a lot. So bringing that up. Another thing, a lot of curriculum changes that will be impactful to student schedules. Another day of ISAS testing because they're adding social studies to grades 8 and 11. And that's that's a follow-up from a bill, I think, from like 2025, or maybe that, yeah. So they're adding that. They're moving a science assessment from 10th grade to 11th. They're requiring more PE and nutrition and the health requirements. They're, it's actually quite a long list. And so I am, I guess, thinking of our curriculum team as they have to pivot again to adjust based on these new requirements. One thing that caught my eye had to do with the so they are wanting a more aggressive tag and math pathway, and that enrollment in these programs would be they're like automatically enrolled. They do say parents can opt out, which I appreciated and was my first question is, okay, this is great, but just because a kid can doesn't mean we should load them up with every single highest challenge, of course, possible. So at least there's that. The disruptive behavior and school segregation bill is still, it passed both bodies. So, that impacts getting pulled from classrooms. Those are the pilots for the one urban and one rural school for kids. And so there's just a lot of concern about the segregation of some of these kids when the truly best practice ideal is like integration, like complete. There's like a whole tier of we don't just want kids to be in a separate group alongside, but actually sitting intermixed with peers. So to see a move towards complete school segregation is concerning. And then the last one I'm going to bring up before I hand it off to Britt has to do with what started as a preschool sharing agreement, and this is Senate File 2231. And so it started as it requires school districts to enter into sharing agreements with community-based preschool providers. But then it turned into it added a bunch of amendments that has to do with the requirement to distribute the information about students' rights on like protected prayer, religious expression, ideology, inclusion of that. So it started as a preschool bill, and it's now adding things kind of outside that scope. Again, that's Senate File 2231. If you guys want to dig into that, there's really quite a laundry list of additions to what started out as a preschool sharing bill. All right. If anybody has any questions about anything that's not property tax,
Now's your moment.
otherwise, it's going. Do
I-
you have a question?
Yeah.
Or is this about property tax?
No, not property
Okay,
tax.
shoot.
This segregation bill,
Yes.
that's insane. But can you like
Hold on. Yes. Yes. The answer is
expand
yes.
on it a little bit?
Right now, it's a pilot program. So the state will pick one rural district and one urban district to set up separate attendance centers for behavior and special education students. And they rolled that into the disruptive behavior bill, which allows teachers to request students be removed up into as long as it doesn't violate their federal rights, which is where it gets really gray and there's not a lot of information.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura.
Yes.
I just had never heard of it. Like, I knew a little bit, but it wasn't clear like
So
that.
what's interesting is that it was a standalone bill that didn't move. And so then it died in the funnel process. It never moved forward. And then they brought it back as an amendment to a different bill and just tacked it on. And then it passed. So it happens.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Go, Britt.
Property taxes. So now there is only one property tax bill that exists out there now instead of three. Senate File 2472. The Senate passed their bill that, and I think we talked about that last time, and they sent it over to the House. So the House, it's really funny, if you go into the bill book and you read it, they basically picked up the Senate's bill and kept the Senate file number that was passed by the Senate, and then everything after the agenda colon, like this bill is from and consists of colon, then it says, if you read the House amendment, it strikes all of the language from the Senate bill and replaces it with the House bill.
Okay, so it's nothing.
So, and then the House passed that and sent it back to the Senate. So technically, the House amended the Senate's bill and passed it, so it's now one bill, but it's not the Senate's bill, it's the House's bill. They say it's a compromise. The House passed with amendments. They took out PEPL and put SAVE in at 25% revenue deflection by 2030. It limits government reserve accounts to 35% of the budget. We've talked about, that makes planning difficult. It does create a restricted reserve account to use to budget for long-term things. I'm not really sure how those two things work exactly. It reduces the school tax levy from $5.40 to $5 per $1,000 evaluation. That's the school foundation levy. So while it no longer specifically mentions PEPL in the capital dispatch reporting on the bill, which I cross-referenced several different, like who's talking about, and they said that PEPL is still being discussed, so it might be added back in. That's where we're at now, is the Senate passed a version that would have deducted, hit PEPL but not SAVE, and had a gas tax. The House struck all that language, put their own language in, kept the same bill, and passed it, but they're focusing on SAVE and not PEPL, but limiting other aspects of our funding mechanisms. They got rid of the gas tax because they're against that. So I haven't heard anything. I checked before the meeting, and the Senate has not put it back on their debate calendar, which probably means that it's in a room somewhere with people trying to figure out if there's three possibilities. So the Senate can either look at the House version, reject the amendment completely and say no and send it back to the House. The Senate can amend the amendment, take it to floor, repass it, and send it back to the House, or they can just say no. And they're like, so, or I guess they can accept it too and pass it as the House put it over, but I don't think that'll happen.
Just a quick question, given that they are now on over, I mean, they're continuing on without compensation, what do you, I mean, any best guess? I mean, this is a big bill will it get through someplace? I mean, is this getting any life, or are they going to say, oh, we're all ready to go home?
The Senate passed, or the House passed the amended version Wednesday night, because we talked about it in Finance Audit Thursday morning, and I hadn't seen that they'd passed it until after Finance Audit. And they adjourned Thursday afternoon. They didn't do any work on Friday. So, and it's not on the calendar today. The early estimates were that they would go a week to a week and a half past. That a week is tomorrow. And I don't, so next week, question mark? I don't know. I don't know if it'll be by May 7th, though, and I know that's when our special session is. So they also haven't made any moves on the other big thing that they're trying to promise to do, and that's eminent domain. Haven't touched it. So I don't know. But they're pushing a lot of other bills through. As you see, there's a whole list now of passed and both going to the governor. So they are doing stuff. My guess is that there's a bunch of guys in a room somewhere arguing over which version makes the most sense and if they can agree on anything. That's my guess, since it's not on a calendar, even in a committee. It's not even on a committee calendar. So
I have a question. So the Senate's version was PEPL, right? Mm-hmm. Limiting PEPL, and the House version was limiting SAVE.
Yes, the Senate version would have cut PEPL and not touch SAVE, and we would lose $2.8 million in that version.
Yep.
In the House version, when they cut SAVE, we lose $12 million in SAVE dollars. That's kind of, those are the numbers.
Yep. So now, you said they kept the file number and cut a bunch of stuff and added their own amendment. Are they keeping the PEPL and the SAVE version, or just canceling PEPL out completely and putting the SAVE?
Right now, the amendment mentions PEPL, but just in generality. It doesn't cut PEPL. They cut the language that cuts PEPL from the Senate version, but there is a paragraph that mentions PEPL as a school financing mechanism, but it doesn't specify a specific cut to it.
But they do put limits to it, right?
Yes.
Did I not hear that? So they are, if this version goes through, we are getting stuck with SAVE version of the bill and limiting certain parts of PEPL.
Possibly.
Okay. I just was trying to.
Yeah, this, if both go through, it's worst case scenario because they're cutting both funding streams and not just one.
Okay.
But right now, it's just horse trading, and we could get all, we could get none.
No,
it could change at 5 o'clock and then be different at 6 o'clock.
I totally understand, but
it's a moment in time.
This moment in time, currently where it stands.
In this moment in time, the bill that is the most alive is the House version that cuts SAVE by 30% or 25%, and that equates to roughly us losing $12 million over the next 10 years. That's the current approved passed version.
My memory may be failing me, but given your potential Freudian slip, was their bill used to be a 30% cut?
The governor's bill was 30%.
Okay, that's what it was. The governor's bill was 30%. So
they're the House is trying to tout that this is a merging of all three bills so that everybody's happy.
Yeah, but
I don't think anybody's happy.
No.
But
and you may not know, is our 12 million estimate, obviously it's an estimate, is that based on a 30% reduction or the 25?
25. Because
Okay.
the 30% reduction was 18 million.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yep.
My
No, it's a
memory
good question.
wasn't there 100%, and so thank you.
And the PEPL version was the 2.8 million.
0.8 million.
Thank you again. Anybody? All right.
Unfortunately, keep us on the agenda.
Yeah, really. Who would have thought, right? Okay, here we go. Hey, Amy, it's up to you. Item number 607, our superintendent's report.
Thank you. For our district honors and highlights this evening, I want to recognize and congratulate the 15 Linn-Mar High School student athletes that recently signed letters of intent, and they did that in our high school gymnasium on April 15th. We also recognized our Pride honorees. Congratulations to the 24 Linn-Mar High School seniors that were this year's recipients of Pride. That award celebrates students who demonstrate perseverance, respect, integrity, determination, and empathy. Some drama highlights. Congratulations to the Oak Ridge Middle School students that presented the Enchanted Bookshop, and to the Excelsior Middle School students that presented Once Upon a Trial, and to our high school students that presented Chicago Teen Edition, all in April. All of these were outstanding performances. An art highlight, kudos to the 13 student artists that recently updated the historic mural inside the Linn-Mar High School. Band honors, congrats to the students from Boulder Peak Intermediate that were selected recently to be part of the Co-College Honor Band. We have a staff highlight, one of our teachers. Congratulations to Haley Hopkins, Echo Hill Elementary music teacher, for being recipient of KCRG TV9 A+ for Education Award. And then community outreach, kudos to some of our high school National Honor Society students for organizing a successful blood drive with more than 40 students donating blood. Recently, we published a staff newsletter and family newsletter. And then as far as our facilities projects, our performance hall, we have shop drawings for the orchestra shell have been completed, and that work is moving forward. Our Oak Ridge Band Room addition, we have completed preliminary code reviews with the City of Marion, and that direction was approved, and it will be submitted for final review after the district votes, hopefully later in the agenda, to have the project going out for bid. Construction documents for both the drawings and specs are progressing and will be completed at the end of the week. Our facilities assessments, exterior building assessments are almost complete. Just 3 buildings remain to be finalized there. And then the OPN team is working on graphics for all sites, creating building studies, working on pricing scenarios, and they'll review that with the district once it's all completed. In our indoor activities center projects, this past few weeks we've held just a variety of meetings, whether that be with our steering committee that consists of OPN, some district administrators and high school administrators, design team coordination meeting, technology meeting, building department code follow-up, and structural review meetings. So lots of ongoing meetings. 75% pricing set is currently out for estimate there. And some upcoming events for our students and staff. On the 30th of April, we will have conferences at the high school. And then looking way out and towards the end of May, of course, we have our commencement coming up at 1 o'clock, graduation with Alliant. Also, I want to recognize the cultural fair on Thursday at Linn-Mar High School. With that, I'd take any questions.
I was just going to ask, and I don't know if you know, but obviously a lot of our conversations kind of tie into this, but with the facilities assessment, do you have kind of a rough plan of when you might have that back?
Yeah, I'm going to give a nod to John for that.
So they'll be doing a presentation on May 11th on the facility assessments.
Perfect, thank you.
May 11th. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you very much for your report. At this time, we'll move on to item number 700, our unfinished business. Item number 701, approval of plans and specifications. May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the plans and specifications for the Oak Ridge Middle School Band Room Addition as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Brett and a second by Evan. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, question. So I was just looking at it. Are they gonna? What room are they gonna have to go through in order to get? They're not connected directly to a hallway. Is that correct?
So this is the current orchestra room.
Yep.
Orchestra's moving here, so this is actually going to become like just a practice room. So they go through, it's like small group and individual lesson room and storage space.
So they're gonna have to go through the lesson room
Yes.
to get to the band.
Mhm.
Okay. And then, all right.
And this is current vocal, this is current band, orchestra will move up here, and then band moves over here.
And was there a decision that, in my head, I don't know why, I just assumed that they're going to blow out some of these walls?
John?
Make the whole thing
Now you're going over
larger.
to John.
John?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this has been really the thought and the idea since day one. That area can be used, that they're going through the existing orchestra room. That could be used for some small group instruction. The main goal of that was to get all of the instrument storage out of the hallway and off of the stage into a room. So as how much is that going to be used as a practice room, I'm not sure. I can tell you that the orchestra and the band directors have been highly involved in this, and they are very pleased with where we have landed.
Great. All right. Thanks.
Is there any further discussion? You all have your green mics on, so I'm just making sure here. All right, you ready? There's no further discussion? May I have a vote, please? All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? And the motion is carried.
Congratulations, Oak Ridge.
Yeah, well done, Oak Ridge. Okay, here we go. Item number 702, approval of substantial completion. Did I say that right?
Motion to approve the substantial completion of the early electrical package for the Performance Hall project and issue final payment to Hawkeye Electric Contractors for a total of $18,119.80.
Second.
I have a motion by Midhat and a second by Laura. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 703, approval of change order for the Performance Hall hallway extension. I invite now John to speak to this and facilitate a discussion on this matter.
Yeah, so we've gone back and forth on this a little bit. We got pricing back, and then I met with the fine arts directors on how things have gone up there so far. From the sounds of it, things have gone really well. Board leadership had another couple of questions to make sure were answered as far as being able to have trucks backed up. We'll only be able to have one now. Is there ability to have two? There would be the ability to have two with the addition of some concrete and manhole changes, grading changes out there. I guess my takeaway from this is, it's $730-something thousand if I remember correctly. I didn't pull it up. And the initial feedback from everybody is this has worked really, really well. It's awesome. I would still be under, my suggestion would be is that we don't move forward with this yet. We live with how it is and give us the full year in there. That would be my suggestion going forward, but obviously it's here at the board table for you guys to discuss.
All right, thank you very much. So now you're going to facilitate conversation just so that we all have a chance. I'm looking at green mics. That's where I look. So Britt, you want to go, and then we'll do Laura, then Barry, do you have a comment? Let's go. Let's do it that way. Britt, Laura, then Barry. Go.
So I think it's really important to understand that things have gone really well with the expectation that we did a tour, we had a special a work session specifically on this topic, and all of the directors made the year work with the understanding that we were fixing the hallway. We actually have gone through almost a full year. We've done all of the big concerts. Did they make it work? Yes, with the anticipation that we would be doing the hallway extension this summer. I did have a chance on Saturday. I went to the Orchestra Invitational, and I did ask. And they looked at me like deer in the headlights when I said, "Do you not need the hallway?" And they were like, "No, this year has been great, but it's going to be even better and more like a smoother functional space when it connects backstage." So while I respect the idea of waiting, we've already had these conversations. We had a specific work session about this, and we said we would fix it. So I don't want to wait a year. I don't think that we need to wait a year. And honestly, if we wait a year, we won't do it. In a year, it'll come back, like it may not even come back. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, so it's kind of like if we go back to when we first realized that this was taken out of the plan, like there were things taken out of the plan, and then we realized Like, then we got to the bottom of that. Okay, why were these things taken out? Okay, what absolutely do we need to have, like, that's missing? And then all of a sudden, some voices that had been, like, behind closed doors but very loud, suddenly were given a chance to, like, come to light, and we heard them, and they came to our meetings, and we listened to them, and we went and did the tour a couple times, and we heard them, and they were like, okay, there was this thing missing. We didn't know it was going to be missing. Then we found out it was missing. Okay, but we're going to get it back in there. And then they were kind enough to trust us and go on their way and do their jobs, do them awesomely, be successful, because they trusted us that we heard them and that we were going to hear their feedback and add in this case, the hallway extension. And they are kind enough that they didn't constantly come to meetings, be in our inboxes, because they trusted us. And I don't want staff to not be able to trust us. I don't want to teach them that they have to be on us all the time if they want something, because, well, just because the board said that they were going to do it doesn't mean they're actually going to do it. And I think they trusted us that we were going to close the loop on this missing piece. They weren't heard for a long time. We heard them. We said we'd do a thing. I don't think it's right to not do the thing we said we were going to do when they told us it was needed, it was wanted, and then they were kind enough to trust us.
Thank you, Laura. Barry?
I'm probably on the other side of this. I'm probably with Jonathan on this. This, I know we've had major discussion on this, and this one here is probably the largest disappointment that I've been through in many, many years on the board, on something that we're going to spend $700,000+ on something. Our main role, our main objective here is to educate students. Our main objective here is to the safety of our students. And we're putting something out here. We have one of the best performing arts centers in eastern Iowa, and I feel like it's a very, very good program. I feel like we're spending $700,000+ on something for a weekend or two a year to appease a few people. So once again, I know I shouldn't use this statement, but after 24 years on the board, this looks to me like one of the biggest wastes of money we've ever done as a district, just for a few passing moments. And if I'm way off base, please tell me, but that's just my feeling up front. When I'm talking to, as everybody says in our group on a daily basis, is I'm talking to my constituents, I'm talking to my our taxpayers, I'm talking to our people, and I have to share with them that we need to spend $700,000 on a hallway. It's just hard for me to pass. It's hard for me to pass this. So that's just kind of where I stand. So.
Thank you, Barry. Evan?
Yeah, John, I apologize if I wasn't giving you enough attention, but I just would appreciate if you could expand on and again, if I'm mischaracterizing this, please say so. I felt like what I heard was that you were hearing, or your belief was that they had a good year, and so you wanted to pause and revisit it because they've had a good year. Did I say that right, or did you want to restate that at all?
Yeah, that's fair. And Evan, I guess for you to add a little context is, so this hallway and an additional length of hallway was included in the very preliminary design of the Performance Center. We were millions of dollars over budget, 5 million. That's an arbitrary number. I don't know if that's correct, but millions of dollars over budget. So at that time, between the design team and the administration that went through that project, with updates to the board, there was cuts that was made, and this is one of the cuts that was made now to be brought back here in the last, I guess, 6 months, 7 months.
And so your guidance was that because we made it through this year, that is it just because we made it through this year you think that we should pause? Is there a greater indication? Because I mean, I'm trying to factor in, are you doing some calculus that says we have a lot of challenging budget issues out ahead, and so we need to, like, you know, gird ourselves against that as much as we can? I'm just trying to just get as much context from your position.
Yeah, no, thanks, Evan. I think if I was to simplify it, looking at 3 buckets of needs, wants, and wishes, I don't feel at all that this is a need, that this is maybe a want or a wish, which is probably why it was cut originally. So it doesn't fall in that bucket of, holy cow, we cannot function without this hallway. We functioned without the hallway in our biggest events this year already.
Jonathan, can you expand, why are you recommending, like, how long should we revisit it in, like a year, 2 years, 5 years? I mean, because we actually had a stakeholder kind of meeting around, a board meeting around it, and all of that. Like, we went and saw the performance hall multiple times, and this was brought up meeting after meeting after meeting. So is there a reason why you recommend we wait?
Yeah, I guess from my perspective is a lot of the reason for those meetings is I think a lot of us felt like each individual board member knew or had different information than everybody, so it was more of an educational piece to make sure that all board members had the same information to be able to make the decision, and it wasn't a, I don't know anything about this, so I don't know how to make a decision. So I think it was more, the work sessions were intended to be educational around that. As far as how long do you wait, I guess that's a good question. And I don't know that that's one for me to decide, but kind of going back to my comments to Evan is just the needs, the wants, and the wishes of this. And we obviously have decisions to make, and we can't build everything,
Yep.
right? So where does that fall in the importance level of things?
So let me pivot and ask Justin, because Justin, you were involved with the couple of big events that happened in the performance venue, and first-handedly felt the pain or the easiness of the events that were held. I want to hear your perspective around it, please.
Yeah, so I think we need the hallway, right? Now, full stop. We just spent 20 minutes talking about the legislature and not knowing what they're going to do to us. We just spent 5 minutes talking about the facilities assessment, and we're going to get a report next week or in 2 weeks. And we don't know what it's going to say to us. And I feel like we have some major unknowns that we need to solve for before we commit to this. I think it's very important that we build this, but I also would sure hate myself if I said yes today and then the facilities report comes in and says, oh, by the way, you need X and X and X, and I'm like, I really wish I had an extra 700,000 sitting around. That's my personal opinion right now. So.
And I honestly trust it, and I thank you for it, because I asked you what your opinion was, especially with somebody who was actively participating in volunteering for all those activities that were held in that venue. So it is needed, but also the fact that we don't know what's happening with the legislatures and where our finance and budget will fall is a question too.
Thank you, Justin, and you may have been leading this way, and so maybe I'll just say it more concretely out loud. I probably have, I'm trying to take a lot of information from my fellow board members here. I think you have more experience with the hall. I am appreciating that it seems like there seems to be a pretty strong feeling from the board that it is needed, full stop, period. we definitely have made some decisions about a lot of things we're talking about what can we delay until we have more certainty. It does seem to me, at least in vain, that maybe part of what you're getting at is that this needs to be grouped in with some of the other things where we figure out what the legislature is going to do, we figure out what the facility assessment is, if that's coming in higher or lower. So I don't know if that's what you were proposing, is a delay of opposed to, not saying 2 years out, but just saying till we have more certainty. But that is something I think that we have made the decision on with some of these other choices is when's the last moment that we can make a decision on until we have more information.
I think, Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong here, I don't think that they've demobed from the site. Is that correct?
Yeah, they have a driveway to repair, the main drive going in. They have some elevation to change this summer, so they're coming back for that, but that's a pretty small scope.
Yeah, so we don't save anything
Well,
or
wait.
lose anything.
Currently, it's a change order. When does it stop being a change order and become a new project that we have to bid?
When the project's closed.
So right now, it's a change order. It would become more expensive if it becomes a new project and has to go through the bid process, et cetera, correct?
You'd have added cost to that, yeah.
Yes.
But when does the project close?
If they're done in, let's say July, let's push this as far as we can. They get in there this summer, they get done with that there. They close the project July. They still have to get all of their final documentation, close out to us. Justin, you know as well as I do, that's never a fast process. So July, August, September, October, I'm shooting from the hip here a little bit. If I would say that if we would make our final retainage pay app by the end of calendar year 26, that would be pretty good.
Yeah, so we've got time before we incur more costs, which is a very valid point because it is a change order to the existing contract right now.
I have a couple questions now. Okay. The spreadsheets, the awesome spreadsheets you made that had estimates for the impact of the PEPL changes, the save changes, all those scenarios, did those spreadsheets have this $700,000 number in it?
No.
Okay. When you went over to meet with the directors to check in and see how things were going and everything, was the hallway explicitly mentioned in the conversation?
That was the main reason I went there.
No, but like, was the conversation like, do you still need the hallway? Oh, we can't wait for the hallway. Or is the hallway still were any variation of those things said?
Yep.
And they're like, no, we're good.
No, I mean, they still want the hallway. Yes, they still want the hallway.
Okay. I needed clarification because I want to understand. I want a true, an honest representation. And so thank you.
Yeah, and I hope that nobody else took that as with my opening comments that the directors are like, we don't want this. That was not the intent. If that's how that came off, that they want that. I just don't feel like it's a want or a wish. It's not a need. I guess that's what I'll keep going back to because we've experienced the largest performances that are going to happen in there, and they've went well.
Okay, thank you for answering those questions. If this number was in those spreadsheets, I guess I'm trying to think which line, but that's a complicated answer, so never mind.
I'm confused why they're not in the spreadsheets, given how long we've talked about it and the board said move forward with the design aspect of it. So, that's
So I'll
another-
tell you, they weren't in there because the expenses that I've had in here were previous to this ever being a conversation and having a cost back.
So it is more than a few weekends a year. It's not, this isn't just for Supernova. It's every concert. It's every event would utilize the hallway. It's not a couple weekends. And, you know, Laura made a point earlier about that we listened to staff and we heard them. We had the trust aspect. And I don't view this as appeasing a couple of people. This is an entire department that is hugely successful, and they're professionals, multi-degreed, huge experience professionals telling us at previous meetings, and again, this isn't a wish, it's a functional reaching backstage without going on stage. It's a functional need of the space. I said it during the work session and I'll say it again. I'm not saying that we always do everything staff wants, but in this particular case, when you're building a specific facility for specific purposes and you have professionals that have dedicated their life to this craft, and this is what they're saying, a standard venue, how it functions. For me, that's why we agreed to move forward all those months ago. So I'm disappointed that I feel like we're at square one again. And I do understand the budget concerns because everyone knows that I sit on finance audit and I understand the legislative implications. I read the bills, but in this case, this is something that it's actually under budget. In that work session, we said, you know, we need to keep it under $1 million. It's coming in at $700,000 and a little more. So it's actually coming in at less than what we said we would be willing to put forth to make it happen.
Thank you. I think everyone's had an opportunity. I'm just going to thank you for your very heartfelt conversations. One thing that I want to just clarify, we do these things for what is best for the students and not constituents. We are a district. And so our decision is in good discernment also fiscally, where are we at? And I think you gave a very wonderful presentation on our unknowns with legislation right now. And so given that, what John is encouraging us to consider, you could decide yes or no, but you have a third option, which would be to table this at this time. And by tabling it, we are not doing any, to me, disrespect to those who professionally said this is what they want and what would be best for the students. Our table, in my opinion, would be a reflection on this legislation. Is it, once again, what do they call it? It's unsurpassed. We have not been in these places before. And so we need to give this at least a little bit more time to hear what the financial plans are going to be for our state in this project. So you do have other options. You could vote to yes, vote to no. You could also vote to table. If there's no further discussion, we have no motion on the plate right now.
I will make a motion to table the change order number 15 with McComas Lucina Construction for the performance hallway extension as discussed for a date to be set later by leadership before the project closes.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Justin and a second by Barry. Is there any further discussion?
If only to give the opportunity to hear from our fine arts department and all the students who have gone up to that stage and back to this, off it, and on and off. If only to give them the opportunity to come tell us. I welcome them in my inbox. If every student in fine arts staff.
I would go one further. I would welcome them to come and share with us both their joys and challenges in person. I think any student who can come gives us an opportunity to hear from their perspective, because what is best for students let us hear from our students. We have a motion on the table right now to table the change order. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed?
No.
The motion has carried. Thank you for your work on that project. For that discussion. All right, we are now to item number 704, approval of preliminary official statement.
I make a motion to approve a preliminary official statement regarding the sale of approximately $29,545,000 general obligation school capital loan notes, Series 2026, as presented in Exhibit 704.1.
I have a motion by Barry. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second by Midhat. Is there any discussion?
Just for clarification, because the language in here seems a little goofy, but it's the official language, the general obligation school capital loan notes. These are our PEPL notes, just to be clear that this is not a general obligation bond, but that is the official terminology for the PEPL notes.
Thank you for that clarity. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? And the motion has carried. We are now into our 800 series, our new business. We are at item number 801, approval of proposed certified budget. Once again, John, could you give us a presentation, please?
Yeah, well, thank you, Board of Directors, everybody for being here. This is the fiscal year 2027 certified budget presentation. So what's the purpose of our certified budget? It's to establish our maximum tax rate and then to establish an estimate of budget year expenditures for all funds. So a quick funding overview here. These are all of our different funds, our buckets, if you will. We'll start on the left and work our way right. So our general fund, that is our largest fund. That is funded by property taxes, state aid, and miscellaneous income. That pays for salaries, benefits, materials, utilities. We'll get into that one a little deeper here in a little bit. Management fund, that's fully funded by property tax. That pays for our liability insurance, property insurance, early retirement. Our PEARL, or our physical education recreation levy, public education recreation levy, that's fully funded by property tax. That's a 13.5 cent per thousand levy. That pays for playgrounds, rec spaces. It paid for part of our tennis courts, part of the track over at Oak Ridge. PEPL, physical plant and equipment levy, that's funded by property tax as well. There's two portions to that. There's the voter approved, which is the $1.34 per thousand, and the board approved, which is the 33 cent per thousand. Think of that, excuse me, as our construction fund. It pays for our facility improvements, construction, vehicles, equipment, technology. Next, there is our debt service fund. That is funded by property taxes and transfers. We'll get into that in just a second. And that pays our debt principal and interest payments. Then our save or capital projects funds, that is funded by our 1 cent penny tax and then any bond proceeds, so we can borrow against that. So the transfers into the debt service can either come from SAVE for our SAVE revenue bonds or from PEPL for our PEPL notes. And then the expenditures out of our SAVE is really the same thing as PEPL, our capital projects, construction, technology, buses, equipment, etc. Next there is our student activity fund, and it's really exactly what it says it is. It's any of our student activities. Extracurricular activities are the revenue that comes in for it is from admissions, fundraising, student dues, any dollars that are supported to that, and then it supports all of the co-curricular activity expenses that go along with them. Then our nutrition fund, revenues for that are our meal sales, breakfast, lunch, a la carte items, and then some federal and state reimbursement, and that supports everything food service. So it pays for our food, it pays for our people, our nutrition experts there in the kitchens. And then the other enterprise funds, so we have two of those. We have the Roar Store, and then we have the Aquatic Center. That operates similar to the nutrition fund, where obviously you purchase a piece of clothing from the store. That's revenue that comes in, and then the expense that goes out for that is the ability to buy that piece of clothing, put the graphic on it, so on and so forth. So those two just need to stay positive come year end. So our proposed fiscal year 27 tax rate, so we had 2% SSA growth, and you'll see there, I guess not quite at the bottom, but the total levy, $17.99,404. For argument's sake, the levy doesn't change. It decreases, I don't even know what you would say, 1/100 of a cent, 6/100 of a cent. So flat. Really, the changes in this, the general fund decreases by 48 cents, management fund increases by 40 cents, and the debt service increases by 8 cents. So just looking at a little history here at what our state aid growth is over the last 10 years and what our per pupil cost does. So the state aid growth, when we say, you know, what's SSA going to do? 2%, whatever that is. This year it was 2%. That's 2% on our district cost per pupil is how that's funded. That's multiplied by your number of students, and then that gives you your state aid. So as you can see, we've had 1 year in the last 10 that has been above 2.5%. So as we talk about the state funding towards schools, this is a big piece of it. The next big piece of state funding for schools is your enrollment. So SSA number 1, enrollment number 2, maybe it's a 1A and a 1B, but those are the two major factors that make up our revenue. So you can see we are down about 40, I think it's 44 point something. So if we're rounding, down 45 kids certified this year. If you remember, we've been budgeting a negative 75 from that, so we're doing okay on that aspect. We would like to see that to flatten, or even better, take an upward tick. That would help us here tremendously. One other note on enrollment is across the state, as birth rates are down and enrollment across the state has significantly dropped as well. So, you know, it's like, wow, we're losing kids. Well, I don't want to say everybody's losing kids, but the vast majority of districts are losing students, and that's just, there's not as many school age students in the state as there used to be. Ooh, I got fancy on this one. Look at that. All right, so our open enrollment in is our red line, and our open enrollment out is our black line. So you can see starting about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, excuse me, our trend there. We used to be pretty close to net zero, and now we're about 312 students more out than in. So we'll take a look at the general fund here specifically, and then we'll get into the other funds. So our general fund revenue, 57% comes from state aid, 33% from property tax, then other local sources at 7.6, and our federal 2.8 for those of you that have been on here a little while since COVID. That used to be a bigger piece of the pie with our ESSER funds, and that is just keeps shrinking. It should steady off here now. Granted, I don't want to speak anything to existence as long as there isn't any federal legislation that changes, but with the ESSER funds being gone, it should steady. So our expenditures, so this comes from our Department of Management certified budget that I've put into a table. So these are all the categories that we have general fund expenditures into. So on instruction, $72 million. Our student support services, about 4.4. Our instructional staff support services, about 6 million. General admin, just under $1 million. School admin at 6.3. Our business and central administration, just under 2.5. Our plant operation and maintenance at 8.8. Our transportation at 3.6. And then our support that goes to the AAA at 2.9. So this isn't just salaries, this is purchase services, this is goods, this is supplies, this is utilities, all in all of our expenses, for a total of just under $107.5 million in general fund expenditures for FY27. Looking at that same thing we just looked at, but just in a graph here instead of in a table. So I guess a couple things to point out is our instruction is about 69%, and then our staff and student support is 9.9. So if we look at where our dollars are going, about 80% of our general fund budget really goes back to our kids, or towards our students, I should say. And then as we look at our admin cost at just over 9% of our total general fund expenditures. So the recommendation for our general fund is to decrease the levy by 48 cents. There's the state funding formula that I was not going to put on here because I think there would have been about 15 different line items that change by fractions of cents, so I just grouped that into one. That portion decreases by 21 cents. Our instructional support levy decreases by 6, and then our cash reserve levy decreased by 21 cents. The cash reserve levy portion there is just a function of that equation. So it's your 20% of last year's expenditures minus fund balance says, here's how much you can levy. With our fund balance increasing last year and our expenses not increasing as much, that amount that we can levy out of the cash reserve naturally decreases. So that's the biggest piece on the cash reserve. So our management fund levy is an increase of 40 cents. This is due to continued increase in premiums for property and casualty insurance and our work comp insurance as well. So over the last few years, we've done our best to keep our tax rate stable, which I probably haven't highlighted this enough. That $17.99, this is year 3 at $17.99 and change. So we have been able to keep that stable for the last 3 years. The one thing that is done is limited growth in this fund while our operational costs continue to rise. So this will help this increase in the management fund will help cover our essential expenses and then get us to maintain an adequate fund balance. So the management fund revenues come in through your tax payments across the 12 months with, I think I'm going to get this right, October and April being our largest months. About 95% of our expenses come out on July 1. So we really need to have that fund balance at the end of the year to cover our expenses for that following year. We spend that down, builds back up all year from our revenues coming in, spend it down on July 1 again. So right now we're pretty tight on that. So getting a little bit of comfort with that fund balance so that we're not so squeezed at the beginning of the year is really the main reason for the increase of this 40 cents in this levy. PEPL, same as we have been here, 33 cent board levy, $1.34 voter levy. Those together are expected to generate $5.01 million. And we've talked about the expenditures, but the capital projects, the ongoing maintenance, safety, security, and large equipment purchases. Our PURL, that's the 13.5 cent approved by the voters. That's once it's approved, that one's good forever. So that one generates $387,000. That's up about $20,000 from last year. Capital projects such as our playgrounds, our grounds maintenance, and some community education expenses. Debt service increased by 8 cents. That is expected to generate 5.43. The couple reasons for that increase is as we look at our debt schedules on what our interest and then our principal payments are, those can fluctuate based on how those schedules are laid out, number one. Last year, we decreased this levy by $500,000 because of interest income that had stacked up, so we didn't want to carry that balance, so we decreased the overall levy by $500,000 last year, so that's naturally going to increase this year if our expenses stay the same, and they stay pretty close, within a couple $100,000 of each other. So our total tax levy, so this is showing what our the amounts generated for each fund by the property tax and what the rate is. So $37.4 million in the general, $4 million in the management. Like we said, the two PEPLs generate just over 5, PURL at $387,000, and debt service at 5.4. And then who controls the tax levy? So the board has 37% control of that levy, the voters about 19%, and then the state just over 44%. Rate trend, so here we go, 3 years in a row, $17.99, trying to keep that flat and steady. That is the one thing in the property tax equation that the school board can control is what is our levy rate. We can't control evaluations, we can't control rollback rate. That's done by the state at the legislative level. So at $17.99, that levy rate is the only thing that we can control. So on those mailers that get sent out, they use a $100,000 house valuation. I don't know how many $100,000 houses we have in Marion, so we doubled that to $200,000 to try to make this a little bit more realistic. So FY26, $200,000. Actually, let's just go to FY27. $200,000 valuation, rollback at 44.53%. Gives us a rollback value of just over $89,000. Less your homestead credit. Here's my little caveat here, depending on who you are, how old you are, and what you've done. That credit, there's also other credits can be in there. If you are a homeowner everybody, as long as you apply, can get the homestead credit of $4,850. If you're over 65, you can tag on another. If you're a veteran, you can tag on another. So try to keep this as simple for what everybody is able to get, which then gives you the net taxable valuation of just over $84,000 times your levy rate, divide by 1,000, gives you $1,515.44 for the school tax portion. That is a decrease of $104.32 for the year, or $8.69 per month. So the adoption of the certified budget, so this is just given some historical comparisons. The column on the right is what our actual resources, think of resources as revenues, and then on the bottom half there, requirements, think of those as your expenses. That's where we landed in FY25 of our actuals of both of those. The middle column is what we have re-estimated for FY26 that we will hear more about May 11th as we do our amendment to our budget. And then FY27 budget there in the left-hand column. So a little bit down from where we were in FY26 so far due to construction and some things. But pretty close, down even more from FY25 as we had quite a bit more construction going on that with this building, the performance hall starting, finishing up tennis courts. So those are the biggest items as we look at that. I think we're good there. I guess maybe a couple things to note in FY25. So if we look at beginning fund balance, which is the row just above the total, the first red line on the top there, 32,788,257, and then the ending fund balance of 32,701,932. So you can see our fund balance drops there a little bit. I don't have with me exactly what specific funds is, but really trying to spend every dollar for dollar is our goal. And so that's pretty close in a budget of 181 million, just decreasing by about 100,000. That's pretty good. So how do we compare to our neighbors and some others across the state? The first line there is what their tax rate is right now. Their FY27 rate is the best information that I have. Obviously, these haven't all been approved by the board, so it's trying to find exhibits that have these. I think those are really, really close since we are at April 27th and these have to be certified in 3 days. A lot of people have had their board meetings already and some have had their agendas posted. So then just the change in rate, where we're at there. So you can see increases or staying flat for our other comparisons, and we are negative. I'm going to say I could have just put zeros in there, but we are technically down a little bit. The next column there is the income surtax. Linn-Mar does not have an income surtax. A few of them do. That's one that's really hard to find all of the details on based what's posted out for the public to see. And then an estimated income surtax equivalent. So what I'm trying to do is figure out if they didn't have an income surtax, what would their levy rate do? So if they're not generating it from income tax, they're generating it from property tax. So what is that comparison in dollars? I'm bringing in X from income tax. What would I have to levy to generate those same dollars? So that's the estimate there. And then the next line down is then really trying to give an apples to apples comparison as far as if there was no income surtax, what would their levy rate be to still generate the dollars that they're generating? And then the last line is just looking at our property tax value per student. So really what that does is we talk about property poor and property rich, and that's not the value of the property, but that's how much property valuation that each school district has. So we're at 385,000, and you can see across there's other districts that are fairly significantly more, one that's a little bit less than where we are. So property poor districts have to have a higher levy rate to generate the same dollars is a way to look at that. So when we look at our equation, you have your $5.40 levy, uniform levy, everybody charges that. The state fills you up to 88.4% of your total per pupil allocation, and then the additional levy gets you the rest of the way there. When you're a property poor district, that additional levy ends up being higher than if you are a property rich district. So this is one way to look at, are you property poor, or are you property rich, is your property tax value per student. Any questions?
John, thank you for the presentation. I just, while you were talking about it, I think that most of us have probably dealt with insurance costs over the last 5 or 6 years. And so I just didn't know if you could speak, because one of the things that came to my mind is that, insurance costs for whether it's homeowners insurance or other insurance costs have really gone up a lot in the state. And my obviously only experience is with personally, but I also know I've seen a lot of reporting on the number of insurance carriers that have left the state. We're getting surprisingly close on Florida being one of the #1 states for people who can't get insurance. So I just didn't know if you had any knowledge about what we've been experiencing as far as those increased insurance costs, and if you can identify any potential risks that we need to be aware of in the future related to that.
Yeah, so actually this year, we don't have final numbers back yet. Those won't come until the middle of June. They're really tight to being renewed for the next fiscal year, and that's just how it always has been. But we obviously have some preliminary estimates this year. We're looking about a 6 to 8% increase, which kind of sounds like a lot. And I don't know, maybe good or bad. It's not. It looks a lot better this year than it has in years past. And if you think about the country as a whole and the natural disasters that we've had outside of some wildfires in western United States, knock on wood, we haven't had much. The hurricanes kind of avoided us. We didn't have any major tornado or straight line wind damage here in the Midwest. So that's really the things that, even if they don't happen here locally, it happens to the carriers here locally on a broader sense, and that's what drives rates up. I would say, in the last, 3 years that I've been here, so I've been through 2 other renewals, they were 12 to 15%. So it looks better this year, but what's next year going to bring? So some of the things that they've done here locally, and I don't know if this is on a national scale for them, but I know at least for school districts in Iowa, we used our deductible for any wind hail claims used to be on a per occurrence basis. Derecho wiped that out. They moved that to a per property per year deductible, obviously trying to get some more dollars there. And then the next year they they moved it to per property, and then they raised your wind hail deductible, I believe based on your value of building, anywhere between $25,000 to $75,000. The following year, they upped that to 1% of your property value. So on a building like your high school, $100 million in round numbers, your deductible is $1 million. So how do you afford that? What most districts, I believe, across the state have done, they've bought that down with the secondary policy, and we actually are in a risk pool with a lot of other school districts in the state that buy all of those down to $75,000 per occurrence. So it's not as good as it used to be, but that is a self-funded risk pool that we believe over time will actually get cheaper and cheaper. So as you ask about, is there anything you're doing to try to mitigate that risk? That's one way we're trying to mitigate that risk, but yet still not overpay to insure something that doesn't need to be overinsured as well.
Then the other question, and you really may not know, I know that, again, there have been insurance carriers that have left the state. Have we had a continuity of insurance carriers? And I just didn't know if you could speak to that at all, if we've had to switch or do anything like that.
Yeah, no, we've been with EMC for long time, and I don't know this exact percentage, but it's in the upper 90 percentiles of school districts in the state with EMC. I would say, I think there's maybe a couple other options out there for a district our size. I don't know if they would be willing to take us on, so we're fairly limited on who we can go with.
Okay, thank you so much.
For context, I believe the year after the derecho, our insurance premiums went up somewhere between 20 and 25%.
Yep.
I remember having that conversation with JT.
Yep.
I have a quick question. So the slide where you show, can you go back like 3 slides? No, one after this. After. Yes. Is this the adoption of certified budget? Is this the mailer that was sent out to everybody?
No, so this would be what was posted for our public hearing for tonight. So this is our actual certified budget. The mailer that goes out is just on our levy rate, and it doesn't give us our resources and requirements.
Okay, I just want to ask, because I heard so many people just saying how we increased property taxes this year, and we have not. So yeah, this is really good representation of our budget, where we stand and how we're trying our best not to increase taxes on people.
Yep.
I'm just gonna, I have to apologize, but thank you for some of these slides, because I've used 2 of the slides this last couple of weeks numerous times, because the comparison of other school districts, and then the one that shows where we've done for the last 20 years or whatever, those have just been awesome. And it helps putting numbers in front of folks, just to understand, because your statement is Linn-Mar keeps raising our taxes, and we can say we don't, but now I can show them, so thank you.
Yep.
Just a reminder, we say this all the time, property taxes is not the same thing as an assessment of your property. We have nothing to do with that. We do not discern anyone's value of their property. I mean, that's not our job. What we do is assess, based on what we give, that information, what we will be getting from property taxes, how to spend it wisely, and do our best job to stay fiscally responsible. Any other questions for anybody? If not, I need a motion, please.
I'd like
Make
to
a motion to approve the proposed certified budget for fiscal year 2027 as presented in Exhibit 801.2.
Second.
We have a motion
Second.
by Britt and a second by Barry. Barry, is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We now have item number 802, first reading of policy recommendations. May I have a motion, please?
Yes. Motion to approve the first reading of the policy recommendations as presented in Exhibit 802.1.
Second.
We have a motion by Laura, a second by Evan. Is there any discussion?
I would just add that we do know there's some wording that we still need to talk through a little bit to make sure we're communicating accurately.
Before second reading?
Yes.
Correct. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Item number 803, approval to set public hearing.
Motion to approve setting a public hearing on the amended certified budget for fiscal year 2026 for 5 p.m. on Monday, May 11th in the boardroom of the Educational Leadership Center.
Second.
There's a motion by Midhat, a second by Barry. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Item number 804, approval of fundraising requests. May I have a motion? Thanks. Thanks, Evan.
Motion to approve the fundraising requests as presented in Exhibit 804.1.
Second.
I have a motion by Evan, a second by Midhat. Is there any discussion?
Did I miss this? Aren't fundraising requests usually in the consent agenda? No? That's a me? Okay. Yeah.
Some of them.
Sometimes.
You have a separate set this time.
Yep. Okay. Thanks.
All those is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? And the motion is carried. All right, we are now to item number 805, approval of open enrollment. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve the open enrollment requests as presented.
We have a motion by Laura, a second by Britt. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? And the motion is carried. At this time, I received a request to pull out item number 904.5 from the consent agenda for individual consideration. So at this time, I request a motion to approve the consent agenda excluding item number 904.5 for separate consideration.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda, removing section 904.5.
Second.
We have a motion by Justin, a second by Evan. Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
Congratulations to our retirees.
Well, we do, and Ann is a long friend, and Marcia Smith just shared this with me on her night with Chicago and her directing of Chicago. So my kiddos have all had Marcia, and I'm just really excited for her next season of life. But wow, she is a huge part of the community, especially at the high school, and Ann has been a long-term teacher. So, at this time, we have any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? Oofta. Okay, Marcia, you crossed the line, so did Anna. Okay. At this time, I need a motion to consider item number 904.5, the Franklin Covey Leader in Me renewal. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to consider 904.5, the Franklin Covey renewal of the Leader in Me program.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second by Barry. Now, is there any discussion?
I just have a question.
Yes.
Is this still grant funded or is it now rolled into the budget?
It's no longer grant funded, it's school funds.
Okay. My only opposition here is that the board made a decision, and I'm not going to go into all the detail because I've done it before. The district uses Character in Me, a couple of buildings use Leader in Me, and I'm Character Strong, what did I say? Yes. We have a district-wide Character Strong program, and then Leader in Me in a couple of buildings. I am just going to, I've asked for it to be separate because I'm going to vote for the people that continue to tell me that students don't like it, staff are not feeling heard, and that it's not a strong program, and that they would prefer Character Strong. So that's it.
I would also, I'm interested in hearing a more comprehensive evaluation of the pros and cons of this. With a real, true critical eye, not just the success stories, not just the happy, when we go on a school visit and we hear about it, yes, of course, I get it. But I know, personally, that there are issues and that I'm with the implementation, and I would like a thorough kind of evaluation of if the pros, if the benefits our students are receiving outweigh the cons.
This might be too much of a question for this moment. I'm not sure who the best person to answer is, but so this is not a district-wide program. Can anyone speak to where, in what buildings it's implemented in?
Nathan, could you speak to this, please?
Yeah, good question. So several years ago, probably my first or second year, maybe 2018, 2019, some of our building principals in our historic buildings, so Bowman, Indian Creek, Wilkins, those buildings were doing some work with their staff to select some themes for their schools. And so this was work that previous Superintendent Bisgard had supported. Some schools decided not to go with a theme and others did. And one of those that went with a theme was Wilkins with Franklin Covey's Leader in Me. When we started that several years ago, then we were able to get a couple different grants, which Britt had asked about. We got a wellness grant through the Iowa Department of Education, and then the Kern Family Foundation was able to support schools additionally once we got started with Wilkins, and so then Novak and Boulder Peak came on after that. So we have 3 schools using Leader in Me. They also do Character Strong, so we've done a crosswalk with those buildings to say what elements of this are you using, what elements of that. Both of those programs that you've heard are both social-emotional support programs for students. And so that's a little bit of history of where that Leader in Me started.
And so Character Strong, is that a district-specific program that we're not paying a license for? Am I understanding that correctly?
We pay a license for that as well.
We pay a license for that as well?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I will just add in, I really appreciate the context because I didn't know. I know that we've had a lot of conversations tonight, and I'll loop back in. I think earlier on the night we talked about making sure that we re-examine things if funding for them runs out. So I will appreciate and acknowledge that point that this obviously at least needs to be looked at if the grant funding has run out for this. and obviously other people should have a moment to speak as well, but the initial thing that comes to my mind is that before I would want to vote to approve this, I also, like Laura talked about, would like to hear more information from the district if this is something that they think is important, and what the pros and cons of that are.
Thank you. Further discussion? I think I would add, this is now I think the third time this has come up and we've had this conversation. And in three times of having this conversation, we always say it would be nice to have further information about, like Laura is saying, not just the success rate, not just the success stories, but why these buildings felt strongly enough to request this as funding, and why the district said yes, but yet character strong is our goal. And I think I would appreciate us to go beyond just saying it'd be nice to hear some more information about that curriculum-wise, especially since it's a double dipping we're double paying for the same basically outcome. I at the same time I acknowledge that buildings find what works, and I've been to a couple of their big time their assemblies. And I've seen that there has been times it's been very meaningful for me to be there. However, not all children thrive in that kind of setting. So I'd like us to look at this, one, financially, right? Are we going to continue to double dip now that we also have some other expenses? And two, can we somehow see apples to apples, if at all possible, as to why we have two programs that seem to be both trying to be character enriching and for mental wellness. I don't know how to do that. I'm just saying it's my third time I think we've had this conversation, and then a year goes by, and then we have the same conversation again. Anyone else?
I'd add to that. I don't know if it's double dipping. I'm going to assume that it is, but I'm verbalizing that for a double check. Like, if we're not paying a licensing fee for the character strong for Wilkins, but we are paying it for Leader and Me, and so it's a net 0-0.
We're paying for both.
I think I would add, if we go back historically, I think you saw other districts across the state doing some things around theme schools, right? And so that was not only happening here with Leader and Me, but there was this innovation. Nathan, what was Bowman Woods called? Innovation School? Yeah. Imagination. Yeah. And
it was innovation, imagination, or something.
And so my understanding of that then, it got kicked off. You had a couple building principals seeking out professional development around it. It caught on, and there was some excitement. I think Director Maury is alluding to there was some staff that weren't necessarily fond of it. And then a few years ago, prior to Lisa Breitfelder leaving, we didn't have a district-wide social-emotional behavioral health curriculum that was being widely utilized. I think you saw Alveus have a strong foothold in the district for years and years, but then that came in. And so in order to, ensure that we could still support Leader and Me, they did, like Nathan said, that crosswalk. And I think by and large, my impression is that, we've got staff that is supportive of the program. I think when we go out to the three buildings, we see evidence of that in their presentations that they shared with the board. I think there is a way for both to be melded together. I do not think that either Character Strong or Leader in Me pricing is of such a nature that it is hurting our curriculum budget by any means. Both are relatively inexpensive when I think about our larger curricular purchases. So that is what I would say. I think, a couple years ago, we did pull data specific to Wilkins Elementary. I haven't pulled data in preparation for this evening, but at that time, their office referral data had decreased from the prior year. They were making some of the highest gains in growth for reading and math, and so it wasn't seeing anything that was showing a negative impact on the schools, or at least on that school.
Thank you. Just a reminder, it comes in at $6,693.50.
I just want to say, I go to Wilkins every week, and I also hear a lot of chatter just being out in the buildings. And I do see them utilizing the Leader in Me. But I also get the emails and I also get the parent talk about them not liking Leader in Me, but I've not heard it from the staff. I'm just being transparent here. So you're hearing from parents? I'm hearing it from parents and how certain parents don't agree with the Leader in Me concepts, but then I have not heard it from the staff at all. So, at Wilkins Elementary. Now, if I go this Friday, and now that they've heard it, now they'll come to me, please, I welcome those discussions.
I'm going to call the question. We have a motion by Laura, a second by Barry. We have had discussion. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? Oh,
The motion was to consider.
Consider.
the
Oh,
contract,
consider.
So I
Yeah.
don't know what you're approving the consideration of.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm considering, I thought we were making a motion to, I know, I saw the word consider. Hold.
Did we say renewal?
We said I did a discussion. Okay, then we had a motion, and he did say the word renewal. Laura, did you say renewal? You said consideration?
Yes.
I said consideration.
All right, so at this
that
time,
was a
It-
miss.
You are still, we have a motion to consider item number 904.5, Franklin Covey Leader Renewal at me. We had a discussion on it. I don't know how you go yes or no on a consideration, because it's not approval. So we will vote on the consideration, then you'll have to have a second motion if you want to approve. All right. At this time, I have a,
Point of order. Art.
Yep.
So you're going to conduct a vote where we will vote
To consider.
a
Well-
affirmative vote. No, it's not.
no, that's how the motion was read. I'm,
Sure. And I just want to know before, will an affirmative vote in this case mean that I acknowledge that we considered the motion?
correct.
I just want to make sure that I have, okay,
Yeah.
not a
That
problem.
you got it, bud. All right. At this time, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carried. Boom. Okay. Anybody want to go any further? If not, we're holding at a consideration.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure. There's no motion on the table now. We've
What-
done our
what-
business.
So we said that there are other schools that are doing the Leader in Me too?
Boulder Peak and Novak.
So we've got 3 schools?
But this is only Wilkins.
Yep, so when do we expect the renewal for Boulder Peak and Novak?
That's a Nathan question.
Because they all came on board at different times, they're all in different renewal schedules, which is something I've been trying to work with a vendor to get us all on one consistent renewal pattern.
$20,000.
So this is just for Wilkins.
So, excuse me, clarification, this was approximately $7,000-ish, okay, $6,693.50 times 3.
Well,
year.
It would be, yes, but not this year. You're only approving Wilkins.
Okay.
Boulder and Novak are already in approved agreement
They're done.
years.
Okay, thank you.
So we don't have a renewal for them at this point.
All right. We don't have a motion on the table at this time.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Franklin Covey renewal of Wilkins Leader in Me program for $6,693.50.
Motion by Barry, is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion? Now, all those in favor say yes.
It fails. Did you have a second?
Yeah, me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm your second.
I missed
Is
it.
there no further discussion? So now we are, all those in favor of approving the $6,693.
Are we doing a discussion?
No.
I said discussion, nobody said anything. Sorry, discussion?
I would like to hear more. Like, I'm on the same boat as Laura. Like, I understand that I see nothing from the teachers, but I hear it from the parents. So I want to hear a little bit more over here about the Leader in Me program. When is the renewal due? Do we know, is it this month? Is it in June? Is it for next year? When
I
is
don't
it
know.
due?
I'd have to look back. I don't have that.
The current contract runs through 5/29 of '26, so we have another month on the current contract.
There you go.
So,
So here's, can I
Yes,
jump in?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, please discussion.
So here's the thing. If this is a cost issue, we need to know that because
it's not a,
there's some, I mean, I get that too. I know that there's some implementation questions with this. I don't want to talk in a public meeting about previous people that made decisions, but we can certainly revisit the fact of, do we have to do both? Because in my mind, these are accomplishing the same thing. We want our schools to have kids that care, kids that can lead, and kids that can do so with compassion throughout their building. Whether they choose to use Character Strong or Leader in Me, unfortunately, was a decision made several years ago where we said you were required to do both. We can certainly revisit that as a district. In my opinion, they wouldn't need to do both, but they're currently operating under the expectation that they have to do both of those now. There is also a research-based measurable results tool that Leader in Me has, where we could certainly pull this data. Each of our buildings has shared that with me, and I can prepare that for you guys if you want to be able to look at that. I'd much rather have that be an administrative discussion with us and the board than to parade people in front of you and have to do that type of thing at a future meeting. But there are things that we can collect, measurable results based on parent feedback, student feedback, and teacher feedback that this MRA tool is designed to collect for us. And we would have multi-year data on our buildings for that.
okay.
I guess just as part of this discussion, I know that we've got to be careful we don't get too far afield because we're still in the middle of this motion. I will just address that where I find myself personally is I think that there are some valid things that have been brought up by my fellow board members, and my natural go-to instinct is to trust what's been brought before all of us, which were some concerns. And so I hear, Nathan, what you're saying, and I hear Amy also echoed that in terms of when we are comparing this to the cost of the curriculum, that this is, that this is relatively small in that context. But that being said, I just don't think that that I can vote for this until I have more information. If the measurable data comes back and the district is able to kind of, in my mind, communicate where the value is for this, then I can make an informed choice at that time for sure.
I would just add that approving this isn't just the cost, that it's a structure and a system and an experience for multiple schools, and it comes with very big set events throughout the year and a rhythm and a structure. And so to me, there would be if the district, if it was the Sadie Elementary District, right? Because I don't want to get picky on names, but right, and they were an island, and from K to 12, that was their structure, but it's not. They are one of 7 elementary schools, and those schools, merge together. So it's a structure that we're introducing kids to at a young, as they come into our district, and there just seems to be it's more than just the cost. It's we're approving the support for the yeah.
Right, I'm going to ask, is there any further discussion? All right, at this time, we still have a motion on the table that was to approve the funding for this curriculum. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed?
No.
The motion has been declined.
Okay, that's good.
I'm sorry. I would like to abstain.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's going to be majority to decline.
Okay.
Okay? It does not pass. All right,
Can I make a point on that?
ma'am.
We have a board policy that says that the same motion can't be brought back. So we're going to have to figure out, I guess you two will need to figure out like what that looks like, because it has to be different for the board to bring it back.
Britt, that's a very good question, because then do we go back and tell them, sorry, you're done, can't do it anymore?
Well, there's,
know?
yes, I think through the discussion and discernment, what I heard was that you would like more information, and Nathan has options to get more information. We would rather not have children standing in front of us telling us how it worked for them, but rather use this as an executive function and a cabinet discussion on its merits. I think to do that, there is a way to also find out the ongoing, when we're onboarding and when we're taking somebody off, so that we don't do this, like one school gets it and then we're 2 months later another one, it's their scheduled time and now we push that one forward, and it'd be nice to know where we fit and how this is all scheduling it through. And so I invite Nathan at this time. We are unable to move forward unless some more data comes to us.
So Board Policy 204.7 says board action voted on from a previous agenda cannot be brought forward for a second vote unless the following parameters are met. There is proof of a significant change of facts or addition of vital information not included in the discussion or motion of the first vote.
Right, and as Nathan has shared with us, he is able to provide us with data that comes with this program.
And
I just wanted to point out that policy so that we did get the additional facts and data before it's brought back.
yeah, and I'm hoping that we're able to not have these 3 expiring licenses at different times, because
We do it each time.
Well, it happened
That-
because Wilkins was first, and then once they were into it, then they onboarded Boulder, and then so it was, yeah.
Yeah, I would just like to clean that up. So,
Thank you, Nathan. Do you have direction, Nathan? All right, thank you. All right, we are moving on to number now. We got through all the consent. We're at item 1000, board calendar and communications. At this time, I'd like to highlight some upcoming events. April 30th is Adventure Academics Advisory at 4 o'clock. May 7th, Finance Audit Meeting is at 8:30. May 7th, Board of Directors Special Session at 5 o'clock. May 7th, Marion City Council is not correct. We need to verify that date.
It's May 14th and
Thank
the
you.
21st.
May 14th and the 21st, correct?
Yeah.
Thank you. Barry, you're still on board to go to that May 14th. May 11th, Board of Directors meeting at 5 o'clock. May 21st, Marion City Council. May 24th, high school graduation at 1 o'clock. Are there any additional communications for the board?
I will not be able to attend the 5 p.m. May 7th meeting.
I myself will need a Zoom for May 7th and the board meeting on, the board meeting May 7th and what's the other one? The 11th, thank you. Justin will be leading the meeting on May 11th. All right. 7:13, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Barry, a second by Evan. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Motion is carried.